Hello, I'm going to be reviewing the 1960 uh, classic Psycho, which was directed by Alfred Hitchcock. It stars Janet Leigh, Vera Miles, uh, John Gavin, Anthony Perkins, and Martin Balsam. Uh, I want to try and review the Psycho franchise now. I'm not sure if I'll do the remake because I haven't done reviewed the remakes for the other horror franchises I did, which I'm going to try to. I usually just try to review the original or movies in the original franchise, but I just decided to go with this one because I've been really busy lately. I'm back in school now and busy at work and family life and stuff, so I'm just gonna try to do an easy franchise. There's only 4 movies in the franchise, and I want to choose to review this one because I've seen it multiple times. The other ones I have to rewatch and review, but anyways, and I know that this is not going to be an interesting review because this movie is such a classic now, and anything I say is just going to be a regurgitation of what other people have said throughout the years. But I just chose this one because it's a movie I've seen multiple times, and it's just an easier movie to talk about. Now, like I said, Psycho came out in 1960, and I believe it was hated, but it was also a groundbreaking film for that time, and it is considered one of the original proto-slashers. It laid the blueprint for the slasher genre later on, as people say. There was another movie that came out the same year as Psycho called Peepin' Tom, which still doesn't get that much credit or recognition, but it also helped lay the blueprint for the slasher genre. It basically deals with the same topics as Psycho. It's about a mentally ill young man who films people while he kills them. Or films them and takes pictures of them while he kills them. Of course, that movie, I know it's not a Peep and Tom review, but that movie got a lot of backlash and hate when it came out. It was banned for several years, and it basically ruined the career of the director Michael Powell for life when his movie came out. Now, I believe, like I said, Psycho was was kind of hated when it first came out. As also, this was one of Alfred Hitchcock's one of his low budget movies. I believe I read it was like $8,000 around there. So that was $800,000, sorry. It was like something, hold on. It was $806,947, and it made $50 million at the box office. So it wasn't a bomb, but I don't think it was that well received when it first came out. Back then this type of movie was new for that era, and uh I believe a lot of people thought it was trashy and stuff, but now it's like a classic and one of Hitchcock's best renowned works. Um, yeah. Now one thing I did like about this movie was the marketing. Uh, there was like a 10-minute trailer for the movie, which was just Alfred Hitchcock walking around the set and kind of like going through, not spoiling the movie, but giving little plot details about what was going to happen in the movie. And also, when it was released in the theaters, I believe that Hitchcock bought all the book copies of the books, which this movie is based off of a book, which I'll get into. I'm sorry I'm rambling and stumbling. I just get nervous sometimes. So, but I believe he bought all the copies of the book, and also he had like a time limit for the movie. Like you once it started, you could not come in. You had to be seated in the theater before it started because he wanted you to watch it from start to end. And he also had a thing about people not spoiling the movie. Um, Let me get into the plot of the movie, which is just a fairly simple plot, and most people know it. It's about a young woman played by Janet Leigh, whose name is Marion Crane. She's having a love affair with another man, with a married man, and he wants her to run away with him somewhere. Well, at her job, she steals a large sum of money from her boss, and she starts feeling guilty, but she wants to start a new life with this guy's name is Sam Loomis, which of course would be later Halloween. The original Halloween would reference a lot of character names from this movie, from Psycho, and she wants to start a new life with him, and she goes on a road trip across country, and she finds this abandoned hotel in the middle of nowhere, ran by a lonely, nervous young man named Norman Bates. Soon as she arrives, she is murdered, and the mystery, and it's kind of like a murder mystery. You're trying to figure out who the killer is, and basically that's the plot. Now, like I said, Psycho was based off of a book, and the book is loosely based off of serial killer Ed Gein, which most people, at least who are into horror films, would know he was the inspiration for Leatherface and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Buffalo Bill and Silence of the Lambs. He only killed two women, but he was known for grave robbing and necrophilia and a lot of weird stuff. Now there's some differences between the movie and the book, and some of the things that I wonder nowadays if they ever, because they did remake Psycho in '98, if they ever want to remake it again, if they would take certain elements from the book, put it into the movie, if people would be pissed off about it. But I mean, it's from the original source material, such as Norman, which I think this was a positive in the movie. In the movie, Norman is a younger man, good looking, kind of like the boy next door. Like you wouldn't suspect him of being a murderous psychopath, which I thought that was a good thing that Hitchcock did in the movie, to portray that, yeah, that nice looking guy right there, or that nice looking woman over there, they could be killers. You wouldn't even know. And it's kind of like rings true nowadays, like, or later on, even a decade later, with like Ted Bundy. A lot of people didn't believe he was a serial killer because of he was well educated and good looking. And but in the book, Norman is a middle-aged man. He's overweight and he's balding, and he was basically like the stereotypical villain at the time in these type of books and movies. And I wonder if they ever did remake Psycho and put that back in, would people be mad about it, or would they say, oh, if most people never read the book either, like, would they be pissed off about it? Cause, and then there's like another scene like with the shower scene, like in the book, she gets decapitated, but in the movie, she is stabbed to death. And I can see why they couldn't stick the decapitation in the movie, because it came out in 1960, and that would probably have been too vulgar at the time. But those are some of the minor ones, and or the major ones, I mean. And then also, like, Norman in the book, he's like very misogynistic, and he calls women bitches and whores and stuff like that in the book. but it's his mother's personality, and we already know in the movie, like when he gets around a woman, it's like a sexual attraction to him, but the mother takes over, and that's why he kills. But in the in the book, it's like he's calling the whores and bitches and sluts and stuff like that. Like, yeah. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Now, this movie has a lot of iconic scenes, and the score is very iconic. And like with the opening with like that with the violins. It's by Bernard Herrmann, and then also the shower scene, which when you watch the movie, I believe they didn't have sound at the time when they first were showing it to Hitchcock. There was no sound at the time, and adding that eek 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 really fits, especially when she's getting stabbed, because it sounds like kind of like a knife going into someone a little bit. And like if they didn't add that scene in the move that music into that scene, I don't think it would have been that effective as it was with the music. Also, you know, the twist wouldn't work nowadays, and it's not nothing against the movie. It's just the movie's been out for almost 60 years now, and like most of the people who are horror fans, and if they had never seen this movie, or or most people, even if they're not horror fans, they probably already know what the twist is by now. And like when I I didn't start watching horror movies until I was like a preteen teenager, and I already knew what the twist was when I first saw this movie, but it didn't really ruin it for me. And when they do the info dump at the end about Norman, why he kills, and about his split personality, I thought that was pretty effective for me and at the time period. Like, if you're a person who don't understand what a split personality is, or what dissociative identity disorder is, it's a pretty good explanation for it. And I thought that was a pretty good explanation. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to think about what else to say. Uh, I love the portrayal of Norman by Anthony Perkins. I think he nailed it really well. He comes off as a person you can feel sympathy for, and like who you want to be friends with and help. But he just has a sickness in him, and he's not like an evil guy. He just has that other personality in him, and when it switches on, he turns into someone completely different. And I thought he pulled that off well. You don't really see him as the mother character in the first movie until like the end, when he's about to attack Vera Miles' character. But in the rest of the franchise, he really pulls off the him being the normal Norman character, and to snap switching real fast into the mother character. Uh, I also like that was shot in black and white, because a lot of people. I'm not criticizing anyone, but back in I think a lot of younger people, like when they watch it, they didn't think back probably didn't think back then that there was colored films, but like in the 60s and stuff, but there was. But Hitchcock did black and white because it was considered, some of the scenes were considered gory for the time, which would have been the shower scene and when Arbogast got stabbed. Which that was a cool effect with Arbogast when he goes down the staircase, and I thought that shot was really cool for back in the day. But I liked how he shot it in black and white. It just has that timeless kind of feel to it, and it kind of draws you into that setting in that time period. Um, I like a lot of older black and white movies as well, and I just feel it just makes the movie feel timeless for me. Um, Also, of course, most people know that the blood used in the movie is actually chocolate syrup. So that's what I was saying about. That's why he wanted to shoot in black and white because of the gore scenes. Janet Leigh, I like her in the movie, even though like she's not really the main focus. She is the main character up to the certain point, but after she gets killed in the shower, it becomes Norman's movie, and he's the most interesting character in the movie for me. The little side story with Lilia Crane and Sam Loomis was not that interesting to me. Like, it was kind of interesting that she was gonna come, try to find her sister and save her, but you could tell, like, Sam Loomis just wanted her. And whatever. It was just not that interesting to me. And the main Norman is the most interesting character in the movie to me. Because you have to follow him, and he's trying, these murders are happening, and he has to hide the bodies, and like, try to, tell mother, like, you can't be doing this, we're gonna get caught, this and that. And, he has interactions with the police, which I love those scenes when he's talking to Detective Arbogast. You know, I get, I have social anxiety disorder, but I know it's different for Norman because he's actually killed people, or he thinks Mother killed people, and he's trying to keep it, under wraps. But man, those scenes like capture perfectly what it's like to be so intimidated to talk to people, and I really like how he captures that nervousness and stuff, and just like all his interactions I can relate with. And he I guess he does have a little bit like social anxiety because he's not around people that much, and I don't know, it just feels authentic to how it is with suffering from that, and like how you're trying to interact and talk with people. It's very nerve wracking. Um, yeah. What else can I say about this movie? I think I hit all the major points. Most, like I said, you know, it's a classic movie. I don't really want to go too much into like every freaking scene in the movie because, you know, other people have gone into it well enough. But, I like the music, I like the cinematography, I like the black and white, the choice of black and white, the acting, especially by Anthony Perkins, is the best thing in the movie to me. The gore, the kill scenes are, back in the day they were considered graphic, but nowadays it's tamed. But I do like the shower scene and when Arbogast gets killed. Um, yeah, I don't know much else to say. Um, anyways, that's my review.